So we are doing social media for job searching. This is quite large, especially right now in the virtual age that we're in. Everything's moved to a virtual platform. I'm specifically going to be focusing on LinkedIn, which is a platform I've been using for a number of years now. It's also the #1 platform that hiring managers and HR use. I have some stats in there, but it's about 95% of recruiters, hiring managers, as well as human resources will actively look at individuals who are applying for positions on LinkedIn, which is why I think it's so imperative that we have a great presence on LinkedIn. So we're going to do a crash course. Some of you guys have this down pat, no problem. I just want to go over sort of the basics of LinkedIn and sort of the step-by-step process. So first off, we're going to go through some photos. So these are the do's and don'ts of your photos. So do use a clear photo. Do keep it simple. By that, I mean, don't have a lot in the background. Don't be wearing a lot. Just keep it fairly simple. Use a recent photo, nothing from 10, 15 years ago. Look approachable. That's something that you have a smile on your face. Usually you look like someone can come and approach you as a hiring manager. And the last one down here, which I can't see, is feel free to include a reference to your career. I specifically work with individuals in construction space. So if you want to wear a hard hat or a vest, I do find that that's not an issue when putting your profile photo together. But please do not use a party photo. Some people tend to use photos of themselves at an outing. I would say no to that. If you have a photo where you're like, oh man, I look great in this photo, but someone else is attached to the photo, again, don't use it. Take a proper one. We all have cell phones. You can do some great magic with these days. Don't use a dating photo. So anything that you're using on a dating app, maybe don't use it here. Also don't include children or pets. Some people feel differently about this, but again, I feel LinkedIn is a professional platform, so I tend to keep any of like photos of my children or photos of my pets or animals out of it. And one thing I do notice is some people put in the wrong file size. So when someone is viewing your LinkedIn, the capacity of the photo isn't there and it starts to pixelate. So it's actually not a clear photo at all on the viewing end. So please make sure you're working within the confines of the appropriate photo format that LinkedIn has asked you for. This is just an exercise of don't do this. These are some photos, really great professional photos. I would not use any of these for my LinkedIn. I think that some of these look like dating apps and also the pets. This is what I would consider a corporate photo, corporate headshot. I call them bust up photos. So it's basically your chest up. Please wear professional or corporate business attire in these photos. And again, we're talking about looking approachable. So have a smile on your face or at least a smirk. This is just sort of a exercise, but I mishmash some photos of yays and nays. This would be a no. I'm assuming we can all agree this is a no photo. This was in the other photo bracket, so this would be a yes. This photo, as great as she looks in this photo and as professional as this looks, she's in a party. I would not put that up on my corporate profile. And again, this is a corporate head profile shot, so we could use something like this. So just giving you a general feeling. I'm going to move quickly through this aspect so we can get into something a little more technical. But this is the most important feature for my understanding, because it is the first thing a recruiter, a headhunter, human resources, or a hiring manager is going to look at. They're going to look at your profile or your photo, because that is the first thing that pops up. So this is really the nitty-gritty of what we're going to get into. We're going to get into how to make yourself stand out, how to avoid using buzzwords, or how to use a buzzword to your advantage. And we'll have some activities there as well. And really just being creative with our profiles so we can set ourselves apart. So first off, we have the headline. So you have your corporate profile shot. You can put a background shot in if you would like. I do like to see background photos. Again, it just kind of brings up the creativity in your personal space. When you are doing a headline, you need to make yourself compelling and you need to make yourself stand apart. A lot of people just kind of go with the standard. So we have the headline, which is the part of the profile that a recruiter, again, hiring manager would look at next. This is a section where you can tell them exactly what you do. The standard that typically happens is a default on LinkedIn. So it takes the job description that you've edited into the job description space. So it'll say you are a project manager at so-and-so company. And that's typically what we tend to see on profiles. I do have examples of other profiles that I feel are a little more compelling. For me specifically, I am a recruiter. I own a recruitment firm. So my advantage, or what I want to show the world, is my connections and the amount of connections I have in my niche. So I have connections in construction, architecture, engineering, 10K plus. That's really important for my clients. They want to know how many people I'm connected to, and we build strong relationships. So that's something that I indicated on first portion of my profile. Here are some examples of people that I think did a great job of just being a little more creative and a little more different. So this individual has shown that they're a PMP certified project manager. We know approximately they've been 10 years, and they're fairly confident that they have delivered high standards. So that's great to know. I think they did an excellent job. They did have a corporate photo, and they do have construction in the backspace. Of course, I've redacted information. This individual is actually working as a consultant, so they're trying to sell and solicit their services as an AutoCAD drafter. So I really like how they did this. They've outlined exactly what they're able to do, who they can help with, how they can help. Emojis, we're going to get to that in a bit. I know this sounds really silly, but emojis do help send home identifiers or keywords, or help indicate it. I don't know why emojis do this, but it is a virtual space. If you have them, they do help to illustrate some points. So this individual did a great job of using emojis in their headliner. Again, a couple more examples. We have a civil engineering and co-op student. Right away, I can tell that they're in co-op. Right away, I can tell that this is a graduate individual. This is somebody who's fairly junior, but they still have a PC job at a construction company, earthworks, but construction company. And again, this individual did a great job of saying, you know, I'm specifically in structural analysis, QA, QC. So if I'm looking for a structural analyst in QA, QC who's got quality assurance, quality control, their profile is probably going to pop up on the first 5 profiles I look at. We'll get into how LinkedIn actually checks profiles for SEO, which is search engine optimization. And I do have some links and resources that everyone can look at, and hopefully take some information home from there as well. The second part of your profile is going to be your summary. So there's a headliner, which I showed you. The summary is a bit of a bigger space for you to tell your story. And a lot of people avoid this section, I think, because it's a little more on the creative side. You have to write about yourself. Or what I do find is some people just use the space to list out jobs, list out job titles that they've had. This is not the space to do that. The space to do that is actually later on in your profile, where you list out your titles and you list out basically your resume. One of the things we want to focus on is you telling your story of why you add value to an organization or your past employers. And how you can do this is hard skills. And I want to go through, we are going to go through an activity here. There is a difference between soft skills and hard skills. So I have some examples down below where, you know, the don't is I'm a dynamic, creative, motivated, and adaptable social media and branding enthusiast. Phenomenal. I don't really think you've told me anything compelling about yourself. You just listed a whole bunch of adjectives, right? These are what we call buzzwords. And I'm going to go through some buzzwords with you guys as well. The other faction of that is the do. So I'm a social media and branding enthusiast with a proven track record of, and then here's your chance to list out your achievements. And part of the achievements, if you can see here, are percentages. So you were able to increase sales, you were able to increase project profitability. How much were you able to save? How many people have you overseen, or how many people have reported into you? This is all the data-driven points that will back up those adjectives, but we can actually put it into a hard skill set. So basically, these are the top buzzwords that LinkedIn, I come across these quite a bit on resumes. I come across these on LinkedIn as well. I don't read them at all. The only time I will read them, and I can tell you the only time my clients are going to be reading these, is if you show concrete examples with hard data that backs up what we're talking about, that backs up the adjective. So for instance, experienced. Again, unmute yourself. But what would that mean to you if someone were to say, I'm experienced? What evidence can they use to back up that buzzword?
I think we can mention that how many years we have worked on this field.
Perfect. And I would further that, Ellie, I would further that to say, you know, overall, let's say you have 20 years of experience, right?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That's great. Well, you can actually break that down. And if you can say, I have 5 in management, right? I have 5 years in administrative duties. You can keep breaking it down, and that is a hard fact that you have that experience. It is reflected on your resume most of the time, but we're trying on our LinkedIn on the summary page to really hit those points on what people are looking for, because they're going to read your summary first. Thank you, Ellie. Appreciate that. What about passionate? That's a little bit more of an outlier. Does anyone have any thoughts on how we can creatively showcase our passion?
Well, maybe the field in which you are interested to work in the future.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about more of a future. So, so passionate about, I know a lot of people on this call are from construction, so passionate about design, maybe enter a design competition. That could be something.
Or maybe we can talk about something in early childhood, or maybe in the family.
Yeah. Interested since early youth. You can give an example. You know, runs in the family. I think that's something that's interesting as well. That's actually a great point. Most individuals who get into construction, it's a very staggering number, but most individuals who get into construction usually do because a role model who is either a family member or a very close friend to the family introduced them to construction. Just a fact. Point. But we also can say something about the, I think sorry, I don't know who just spoke previously, but someone had mentioned something you want to do in the future. So actively working on credentials. I don't know what other credentials. If you're in project management, maybe your PMI or PMP. If you are in design world, again, maybe you're actively working on your intern architect. So your OAA. You can also put in your different credentials. There you go. So that's something. So I've listed a whole bunch of buzzwords that I have seen certified. Certified in what? It's really great to list out your different certifications. I'm certified in these different fields. Leadership, I often see leadership on a resume, and then there is no backing throughout the rest of the resume to tell me why you're a good leader. So can we just maybe go through leadership? Because I know a couple of people on this call may actively have direct reports or had people that they've mentored or coached. Leadership would be, who is your direct report? Leadership could be any mentorship that you've done. So who have you taken underneath your wing? Leadership could look like any sort of courses you've taken. Some people do take leadership courses. These are all basically the point of this exercise is if you are going to be listing these items out, these buzzwords out on your resume, if you are going to list them out on your LinkedIn profile, you need to have tangible achievements or tangible data to back up the adjective. And that is what the employer is going to be looking at. And that hard data, especially if you break it down in percentages, dollar figures, numbers, that information will appeal to hiring managers because they can see what you've done. They don't have to articulate, they don't have to extrapolate anything. They don't have to come up with it creatively in their minds because they're not going to do that. They can physically see what you've been able to do. Okay, so we talked about the summaries. We're going to go through some example profiles as well. The other thing, final point, your LinkedIn is actually closer to a resume. So it is a living, breathing update it as much quarterly if you'd like. It is a living, breathing resume that you have the ability to consistently and constantly change. So let's keep it and let's treat it like a resume in that sense and in that fashion. So we're going to go, and I'm not going to go too much into resume building. I do have some resources to give you, and you can extrapolate the resume building resource onto your LinkedIn as you're building your LinkedIn. One thing that I do find missing actively from resumes today is the custom URL. So if you build a LinkedIn presence and you're building your LinkedIn portfolio, when you build your resume alongside it, please at the top of your resume where you have your contact information, your email address, etc., you can actually copy and paste this URL. It shows up in everybody's LinkedIn. It's under contact info. Please copy and paste it into your resume. When you send this off to a hiring manager or when you send this off to human resources, if it's in a PDF, it will automatically hyperlink. So they can literally just click your PDF resume and it will send them over to your LinkedIn profile, which hopefully is ready for them to view. So it's something I do find missing from a lot of people's resumes, and it is something that is now more of consistently being, the hiring managers are consistently looking for this. Just takes them one step out. So one of the things we want to talk about both on your resume as well as in your LinkedIn, again, because your LinkedIn is a living, breathing resume, is standardizing your LinkedIn to be more search engine optimal. And I will give you a link to that resource. Again, I have a small activity. People always ask me, how do you standardize your resume to be more in line with what hiring managers are looking for? It's a very simple exercise. It does take a little bit of time, but it's fairly simple. And the one we're going to do today is for project managers. It's just project managers in construction. So basically what I do is I open up, this shows 3 job descriptions. JD means job description. I actually typically open up 5 to 6. I just didn't have all the room to put that in. Then what I do is I look for items that are consistent in those job descriptions. So again, I'll take you through to what I mean here. So I pulled up these project manager positions just from Indeed. I actually did it this morning because I wanted to go through this exercise with you because I have consistently done this with other individuals. This is a project manager in construction, CH2M, a very well-known company. What I do is I go under specific skills, also in education. Sometimes there'll be in education. This one just has specific skills. And I look for things that are their buzzwords. So I look for what is a buzzword within all job descriptions, and I look for the common denominator. So for here specifically, you see contracts, we see negotiation, agreements, so contracts again. Budgets are big, schedules are pretty big for construction projects. I take all of this information, I write it down on a piece of paper, and I just continue going through job descriptions. So again, we see scope. If you were able to talk about your scope on your resume, that would be a common denominator across majority of construction job descriptions. Risk mitigation, design coordination, liaising with different consultants, schedules against design changes, so change order, change review. So this is something that I take into consideration when I'm looking through multiple job descriptions. These are the words that hiring managers are obviously used to. These are the descriptions that hiring managers are going to be actively looking for on your resume. The reason this is really important to do this exercise, I'm not going to go through all of these, but if everyone can kind of understand what I'm trying to get to, you're trying to create your experience using hiring managers' languages. So the language they use for their offices, for their organization, you do have that experience. To a lot of extent, you have that experience. You might not be using the correct language, and then they're going to be overlooking your profile because LinkedIn works in a specific algorithm to find the word searches that a hiring manager, a recruiter, or a human resource individual is inputting into the platform. So when they're searching for somebody like you, when they're searching for somebody who's got scope building, budget review, scheduling abilities. When they're looking for all these different things, they're typing this in. They're typing in scheduling. They're typing in, Primavera. They're typing in Procore, which is different software programs. That's important that your LinkedIn resume reflects that, because otherwise your name is not popping up. So that's really, really important to do this particular exercise. Okay, does anyone have any questions on that?
Yeah, excuse me, Agnes, I have one question.
Sure.
If we, I understand if we customize or personalize our resume that we send to the companies, but the problem is job descriptions are sometimes different for the jobs that we apply. And if we want to change our LinkedIn based on those job descriptions, it would be a bit sort of everyday change, and maybe in 1 week we apply for 5 jobs, and how it's possible that we change that for every job in LinkedIn?
So I come across this a lot, and what we end up doing is your LinkedIn, as much as it is a reflection of your resume, you can technically put more into your LinkedIn, just because there's more ability to add attachments, links, profile pictures, portfolio pictures. You'll have a little bit more play there. When you are actually working on sending out resumes to different employers, I have the very last slide, because I do a whole other webinar on specifically job management. You're going to project manage your own job search, and I'll show you how to do that. And yes, sometimes you have to tailor or cater resumes. It's the resume that's going off to the hiring manager directly that you're catering, and you're going to keep track of that. So we'll show you how to do that at the end, but your LinkedIn overall can hold a lot more information, I find, not just in a visual capacity, but also in sort of a engaging capacity, because they can click around your page and they can kind of see all the different projects you've worked on. So that one you can add a little bit more more points to, and kind of have an overarching resume. And then when you go and individually job search, you will have to probably tailor resumes according to what the position is. So we can go over that.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
No problem. So the next slide gets into your personal branding. I don't know if everyone's heard about red ocean, blue ocean. Red ocean is basically where everyone is. Everyone is fighting for the same space. We're all fighting for the same jobs. We're all fighting for the same circumstances. Blue ocean is to be a little more creative, a little more outside the box, and you basically create your own avenue that people maybe can approach you and you basically create a different look for yourself and keep yourself aside from others. That's the idea between red ocean and blue ocean. So I'm going to try to show you how to do a little bit of the blue ocean approach, although sometimes you have to dabble in the red ocean. Don't mean to confuse you there. So specifically, one of the things that I like to see when it comes to LinkedIn profiles and keeping yourself different and differentiating yourself is recommendations. I can show you my LinkedIn. I have no problem sharing that with you if you guys have been able to see my LinkedIn. When I first got started in this space, it was about 7-8 years ago, maybe more actually at this point. And for me, recommendations were huge. Not a whole lot of people would look at me or take the time to work with me. So I started building my reputation by recommendations. This can be employers, this can be people, peers, coworkers. That's actually how I started, was just coworkers. If you scroll down to the bottom of your page to skills endorsements, there is recommendations. So the recommendations, you can actually ask for a recommendation if you know someone who has a LinkedIn. So Ellie, I think we're connected on LinkedIn. Ellie, I can ask you for a recommendation and send it your way. What's my relationship? The person still has to accept it. So if you know this person maybe a little bit more than just through LinkedIn, I would probably let them know, hi, I'm sending you a recommendation. It's going to be helping me with my job search. Can you please help me out? Most people would love to help you out, but this is something you're going to build. And please make sure that they are specifically addressing your work. And you're obviously anything to do with your career or your professional workspace. Yes, you can have friends, I guess, give you a recommendation, but maybe if you worked with them, I wouldn't have family giving you a recommendation if you haven't worked with them. This is not the space to do that. So you're going to be asking people to build your brand for you. As a hiring manager, as someone who works with hiring managers, we do look at recommendations because we want to see the number of people who find you reputable. So I've got 21 recommendations. I've recently stopped asking for recommendations, but when I first built, I want to go right down to the bottom. These were all candidates that I first started with. And this is like going back years and years ago. If I worked with a candidate, I was like, hey, did I do a good job? If I did a good job, can you please write a recommendation? And the recommendations, when I had, 5, 6, 7, when they started accumulating, I actually started using that as a marketing tool when I was connecting with hiring managers and when I was connecting with more job builders. I would actually say, how when you connect with someone, you're able to write a very small description. I'd say, hi, I would like to connect with you. Maybe there's a possibility to work with you. I was very transparent. Can you please look at my recommendations? You'll find that I have a very good name in the space, and something along those lines. And then I would actually direct them to my recommendation page because I wanted people to see that I had a reputation in the space for being a good person, for being a good worker. And that's how I built that part of my LinkedIn profile. And that's actually probably the number one thing that helped me build my personal brand on LinkedIn. So I know a lot of people underuse this, maybe because it's a bit awkward to ask someone for a recommendation, but moving forward, this is your career. And I 100% suggest that. Bouncing back to summaries, maybe I didn't do this in the best order, but bouncing back to the summaries, which is underneath the headliner, you're going to be using bullet form. So please use bullet form. The number one thing that I find people use in this space is they write maybe a little bit too much. And as a hiring manager, as a recruiter, we do not have time to read like massive, massive text. So when we were doing that exercise of, I'm a leader, or I have leadership abilities, it's really good to point form it out. And again, when we were talking about your headliner and using emojis, you can't overuse emojis, but for some reason, it seems to grab people's attention. I'm not saying you have to, you do not have to use emojis. I just personally find it grabs attention of individuals when they're online looking for profiles to match the job search. It's just something that happens. I can't really explain it. So this is an individual who is able to say what their summary is, able to tell you about all the various platforms they use, and then career coaching. So this is a really great example. Career coaching, I've helped thousands of job seekers just like you, land placements like Microsoft. So they've actually given you an example of how they were able to help career coaching. I would probably like a percentage here, like I've helped 60% of applicants who applied to my organization or something. I think that would have been really good to add in a little bit more of a number data-driven. Additional information on the About You page or summary page, there is the ability to drop in and add attachments. On your LinkedIn profile, Ellie, to your point, this is where you're able to sort of add what you can't to a resume. So if you have certifications, if you've done any additional training, if you have letters of reference, so if you have past employers who wrote references to you, this is a great space to add those attachments and have individuals click through. What I find sometimes is people put their resumes on their LinkedIn. That I'm not a fan of. And the reason I'm not a fan of it is because on my end, when I'm reviewing your LinkedIn and you've attached nothing else but your resume, it shows up as a PDF, sorry, a JPEG, and I can't actually see it. So all the writing that you've done, we can't actually see it. Like when we click on the link, but if you have something like a certificate or something with minimal writing on it, you can kind of expand it out and read it, but there's just too much writing on a resume to add it as an attachment in this area. It completely just uses up space. It's unfortunately a bit of a waste of space on the LinkedIn platform. Your LinkedIn should be your resume. Okay, so moving on to, perfect. So I wanted to take you through the SEO optimization, which I have mentioned a few times. So again, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to share the LinkedIn articles. I've actually used these articles on a number of webinars and people do read through them. You'll see some crossover information with what we were just chatting about. But SEO optimization basically means that you are using the buzzwords that we talked about in a proper manner, your skills that people are endorsing. Also, you're using the proper job titles and the standardization. That's really important. So if you're writing words like contract review, contract management, change order review, change order management, whatever you think the job seeker, not job seeker, the hiring manager is looking for. So if the hiring manager is looking for a project manager and you've identified the top 10 skills in 5 or 6 different project management job descriptions, that is going to help you come up on your SEO. So the search engine optimization, how LinkedIn works, is it looks for all that information that hiring managers are plugging in on the searching side, and it pulls up your profile. The best part is if you do it properly, a hiring manager can literally go to Google. They don't even have to go to LinkedIn. They could just go to Google and type in project manager, construction, I don't know, maybe they say institutional, and you've happened to list out a couple of institutional projects. Your profile has the potential, if you built it strong enough, has the potential of popping up on Google. So you would actually be like the first 1 or 2, just like this person right here, you'd be the first 1 or 2 individuals to pop up on a Google search. So it actually like goes beyond just LinkedIn searching. So that's why it's really important. So this is an article I'm going to be sharing with you guys, how to properly articulate your LinkedIn profile so that when a hiring manager is searching for somebody with your background, you not only pop up on LinkedIn, but you're going to pop up as one of the first 10, first 10 search links on Google. So that's what an SEO search does, is it really harmonizes the search engines to your profile and makes you pop up first. So I'm going to give you this link. Another link is just if you want to better dive into the different aspects of LinkedIn. This was written by LinkedIn. This is a great article and it takes you step by step. Choose the right profile picture. We just went over that, number 1. It'll take you step by step the various aspects of LinkedIn. Again, I will share this link with you. It's a really great tool and I have used it not only for my profile, but I've also used it for others' profiles. I wanted to share with you 2 individuals that took a very similar class to this. It was a shorter class, but we did this class, I would say probably about maybe in March, April, when COVID first started and the shutdowns happened. We started doing online teaching, more just to help people organize themselves. And so I'm really, really proud of these 2 individuals. They showed up to like every webinar and they were actively candidates of ours. And then they ended up getting jobs themselves. So I'm super proud of them, but you guys see their profiles. They've done such a great job on it. This is not, by the way, what their profile looked like previous to the webinars. So this is Abby. He ended up putting in exactly what he was, experienced construction professional. He is a postgraduate from project management, and he does fully have BIM and integrated practices. He lives in London, he's connected with people. He created a really great summary about his experiences, almost like a cover letter. And then he kind of point form listed out, these are his professional skills. This is what he works in. He does have a couple of buzzwords, like, again, collaboration. It's a bit of a buzzword. I would like to see why you're a collaborative individual. Leadership, again. So he's got a couple of fixing up points that he might work on, but he did get the job at the end of the day. He also listed out, what was the bottom here? Oh, there we go. He added in projects. His core of his experiences came from overseas. And so he was really worried that nobody would look at his overseas experience. And I said, well, that's not true. Ellie, just like I was saying, your LinkedIn page is a living, breathing resume that people can engage with. So I asked him to start putting in photos of all the work that he's done over the years. And even if it was from overseas, he just started adding in everything from photos of his different sites to the different work that he did. And I think when he went to go interview, they said they were very interested in his background because of all the images he had uploaded. It was a very engaging profile to go through the photos and see what he was capable of and see the sites that he worked on. It made it very real for the hiring managers when they were reading his description to also see what he was capable of. As well, at the bottom, so he has a couple of other attachments. Again, this is something that engages hiring managers. They do click around on these different buttons. At the bottom, licenses and certifications. In our previous courses, we went through quite a bit of skills upgrading. So different courses that were either free or relatively inexpensive that the students in the class were able to take to build their profile and really align their profile and new certifications and new skills and new development with what their career alignment was. So he specifically wanted to get into lead. He specifically wanted to get into more construction management in that capacity. So he started taking a lot more classes in lead that were either free or relatively inexpensive. I will share those links with you as well. And then we have Najla, who did the same thing. So Najla, again, she got the job on her own as a project coordinator for a developer, which is exactly what she wanted. This is what I love is her about section. As you can see, specifically what she's done, why she's analytical, unique capacity to develop scopes. She's really gotten into her team leader management, and then bullet point form listed out all the different things she's done. One thing that I did notice was she used emojis. This is technically an emoji. And that was a visual, really well visual defining points that she used to use her summary. So it's an easy read. She's listed out a couple of featured articles and a couple of featured projects that she's worked on. She's very active in her activity space, and we can get into that with groups and with the next section of this seminar. And then at the bottom, as you can see, licenses, certifications. She really wanted to get into project management and scheduling. So she actually started taking Primavera P6 classes online. So she took those and she certified herself in Procore, which is a free certification. And a lot of construction companies are now flipping onto Procore. So that is also a link. You just go procore.com. You can actually check out their different software certifications, and you could do it for an architect, site super, so anyone who's in field. You could do it as a consultant, so an engineering firm, or you can even do it as a PM, both for a GC and owner rep. So they have a lot of certification processes. So that's somebody that I wrote her a recommendation. That's somebody that did a really great job upgrading their profile. Okay, networking. So the do's and don'ts of networking. I'm also going to be sharing with you some YouTube videos from hiring managers directly. I've interviewed quite a few. We were doing interview or seminars like this with people coming into the class, and we were actually talking to the hiring managers and getting their opinions on the networking part of LinkedIn. I recorded those. They are on YouTube. I will share those with you. So be mindful of the platform you're on. One thing that I'm starting to notice with the political climate, both in Canada and in the US, please, it's up to you, obviously. I'm not going to tell you yes or no, but please keep politics off of your page. To me, unless you're in politics, it can harm your chances. If you are showcasing your views, if you're taking a tone that maybe an employer does not follow that stance, or maybe an employer isn't in agreement with, that could hinder your chances. So that's something I'm starting to notice. More and more people are jumping on the political bandwagon. That is not the LinkedIn is just not the platform to do that on. In my opinion, it is not the platform to do that on. So keep away from any conversations, because as much as LinkedIn is your resume, it also keeps track of all activity. So remember in Najla, I said she was great with her activity. It's because she's commenting on other people's articles. She's posting articles. She's reading. She's contributing to conversations. None of them are political. If you were to start going down that route of doing more personal and political conversations, LinkedIn will keep track of that, and any potential employer does have access to your activity log. Just keep that in mind for anything you do that's personal on LinkedIn. That's why I say it's a professional platform, keep it professional. Another thing you don't want to do is spam people. People can generally get the sense of a generic message that comes across. I come from a little bit of a different background because I am directly soliciting for work. However, on the background of looking for employment, let's say you're trying to target a company and you've spammed everyone in that company with like, hey, I'm looking for a job here. It just doesn't look great, which comes into my next do not beg. I've had a couple of people who come to us and say like, I'm really looking for a job. I really need help. We understand that. It's just, again, it's a professional platform. So show me what you can do versus asking me for help over and over. And I know that other hiring managers do take that mindset. You need to showcase, because some of us get inundated with like 100 to 200 resumes for every opening. We need to see what you can do. Here's a couple of the other points. One of the ones I want to get to is, do be respectful of people's time. If you are writing someone a note, so let's say a hiring manager has connected with you, don't write them a dissertation. Networking is in stages. You warm up to a person. You don't just go to the next level. It very much is about warming up. And I do find sometimes people will write to a hiring manager or message, myself or someone from my team, and they send us like just this whole description. We just don't read it. Again, we have about 200 people applying for a role. That is why we read your summaries, which are quick and concise. That is why I'm trying to get everyone to sort of fine tune their resume. We look at that. And that's why we want to do this sort of profile building. So we're going to get a little bit more into the networking capacity. Where you're going to start, I don't know where everyone is on their LinkedIn networking, but where you're going to start is with your friends, your family, and your peers and coworkers and previous coworkers. You're really going to start with who you know. That's going to be an easy sell because LinkedIn goes by connections, and there's 1, 2, 3 connections. Sometimes you cannot connect with people outside of that circle. So you have to start growing the circle so they get bigger and bigger, and you can start capturing the people that you want to capture. But you can't just go out and try to get somebody who's completely outside of the your LinkedIn network. It just works in different phases. Again, you have to grow that base. So grow it by starting with your family, friends, peers, coworkers. One thing I will try to ask people to stay away from is blanket connecting. So, you just like connect, and you go through like 100 connections a day, and you don't know even who you're connecting with. Take a targeted approach. You want to connect with people in the industry that you're trying to get a job within. So when I say that, again, if you're a project manager in construction and you want a job in Toronto, or if you want a job in BC, whatever the case is, you're going to be targeting people who are peers and then slowly growing out from that community to the hiring managers that they're connected to in the organizations and in the background that you're looking for. You're not going to blanket everybody. So you're not looking at marketing people, you're not looking at accounting people, you're going to be specifically looking at your field. Professors, I add this in here for people who are graduates, professors, starting with professors who are usually connected in the industry. That's a really great space to just sort of start your network if you are entry level or graduate. Okay, so when you invite people to network with you on LinkedIn, and I didn't write this down here, if someone has a similar background or is in a target network, saying something along the lines of, hello, John, I have reviewed your profile and company. I'm reaching out to further my professional network on LinkedIn. Your profile is quite interesting. May we connect? It's kind of a generic, look, I'm really interested in you. I'm interested in your company. I just want to connect. And again, networking comes in different phases. I would shy away from saying, hi, John, I'm interested. I've reviewed your profile and your company. I'd like a job. I wouldn't say that right away. The likelihood that the person will knowingly and actively connect with you could be quite slim, versus if you came across genuine, I'd like to connect with you. I'd like to learn more. I'm interested. I'd like to learn more. But flat out saying I want a job probably isn't going to help you. If you met someone at a networking event, and we'll go over, I do have a couple of networking events I want to connect you guys to. So this is one, if you met someone at a networking event, dear Mark, specifically if this was a Mark, it was great speaking to you at the event last month. The work you do sounds fascinating. I definitely like to stay in touch and up to date on your career. May we connect? That's a very generic, but I would say unintimidating way to just connect with someone. Again, I met you, you seemed interesting, can we connect? Not stay away from, I'm looking for a job. There's a couple of other ways you can connect with people strategically, and we can definitely talk about that if you have any quick questions about it. One of the things that I wanted to add at the bottom here, and we will go through groups on LinkedIn, clean up your social media presence. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those places, that is your personal platform. That is your platform to say and do whatever you need to say and do. If you have public profiles, please keep in mind that means a potential hiring manager or employer could look at it. Technically speaking, they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to make any sort of judgment calls on that. I can't say yay or nay if they do or do not. I just say clean up your profile if you are actively job seeking, because there is always a possibility someone could look at it and it's out there. Or if you want to keep those photos, if you want to keep it the way that you have your other private or your other public accounts, then private, make them private so a hiring manager or employer cannot access it. That's the best I can say about that. Okay, so I have a couple of other resources that I want to share with you. So again, I'm going to screen share these websites. These are some great websites. I will be sharing it with everyone on this call. This is by far my favorite resume builder. This template and these guides specifically work well for project management, project coordination. A lot of people come to us for project management, project coordination. They give you like piece by piece, this is how you're going to create it. These are the do's, the don'ts. It will really, really help you work through templating your specific resume. And I highly suggest this website because it'll also help you with any sort of cover letters that you need, CVs that you need. This one has worked well for a number of our students who have come onto this call. Once you create this template, so create your resume in this template first, this is where you can actually start to build your LinkedIn resume, because remember, your LinkedIn resume is a reflection of your actual resume. Use this as a foundation. Don't just try to go onto your LinkedIn and try to make it work. I would say do this resume first. You don't have to use the template builder if you feel you need to, of course, but really work on your resume, building your resume first, flip that into your LinkedIn and create and use your resume as that foundation. Not a lot of people know about this resource. It's completely free and it's amazing. It's called In Learning. LinkedIn Learning has a number of different programs. So this was blueprint reading. If you are looking for BIM courses, you can come on here. And as of right now, they have 246 courses that you could take. There's a bunch of videos, there's different levels that you can take. And basically what you can do is you can find courses that match up with what you'd like. You can find the ones that are popular. LinkedIn Learning also asks you to create a profile. So you just go into linkedin.com/learning. You create a profile. So if you're a project manager and you're a project manager in architecture, you can actually create a profile and it works with you on what types of courses do you want to take over the next year. How many courses and how many hours can you dedicate each week to building your new certifications, to building your new skill set? and it'll start feeding you really amazing and perfect courses that match your profile that you've originally started with them. So this is a free learning resource. You can also actually do LinkedIn profile. There you go. So you can actually learn how to create and optimize further LinkedIn for recruiters. Like it's a great platform. It has so many videos. All of this has been curated by LinkedIn for you guys to use, and it's free. So I would highly suggest when you're building your portfolio, when you're building your resume, when you're building really your presence on LinkedIn, to start coming up with more LinkedIn courses that you can add to your profile to build up your profile. Udemy, again, not a whole lot of people know about Udemy. Udemy is an online learning platform from experts who have been screened. They create modules and then they put modules onto Udemy. Again, the amount of schedule or classes that are uploaded into Udemy is quite extensive. The prices vary. So sometimes I see things go on sale and it's like for a whole module on estimating, it's $50. And then sometimes I see the exact same module and it's not on sale anymore. It's $200. Like it's kind of extensive how the different gaps and when they go on sale. But you could type in, remember we were talking about Primavera. Primavera is a scheduling platform. So you can actually go Primavera P6 and it pulls up all the modules and it'll tell you which ones and the different reviews on them. I have directed people to Primavera who do project management for larger projects. Scheduling is usually reserved for, I would say, much larger projects, but it could be mid-sized projects as well. So you can actually scroll through and see which ones work well for you, and then you can see the cost of them because there are costs associated with these programs. If you're looking for estimating, it'll pop up all the relevant construction estimating takeoffs. Some of these actually do come with certifications, some of them do not. And you can go through the filters and you can find out, you know, I want different levels. And you can also, I believe, put in if you want credentials afterwards. So there is a feature over here to find out which ones will give you certifications once you complete the course. This is a phenomenal space to build up your LinkedIn and your resume with certifications that are what employers are looking for. So when you did your job search and we were standardizing the job descriptions, if you're noticing the same software platforms coming up over and over and over again, and you don't have it, you might want to look at LinkedIn Learning and Udemy to find those courses on those software platforms to further reinforce your profile. Because again, if I'm looking for someone specifically with P6 experience, I'm typing in P6 to LinkedIn, construction project manager, and if you don't have P6, your profile is not coming up. So it's kind of as simple as that. Specifically for networking, I like Eventbrite. You can filter in Eventbrite the different dates. I set here for free. I don't want to pay for any of these events. Category, you can search for construction related events. These are happening around the world, so please keep in mind the time zones between the different events. But there is a lot of like women's appreciation and apprenticeships in construction. There's hundreds of these seminars, webinars, and as everyone's moving more onto a virtual platform, as of right now, this is probably one of your best spaces to network. Networking eventually will go face-to-face. I don't know when, but until then, I'd like everyone to practice their networking skills. And these are some great places that you could do that. So that's Eventbrite, and you just type in free. If you're willing to pay, that's great, but you can type in free, and then you can search for construction, estimating, women in construction. You can actually type whatever you want, and all the online events will appear, and you just join them and register, much like you registered for this webinar. Finally, LinkedIn groups. We are coming towards the end of our, I knew this was going to go over, but this is one document that I'm going to share with you guys. It's how to comprehensively use LinkedIn groups. I am a member of over 30 different groups. Predominantly all of them are in construction. Obviously, I do have some in leadership because we do have the leadership division. But basically what I've done is I post and solicit our services, as well as I post and solicit help to the community in these groups. So people get to know the next gen brand, the next gen name. You could do the same thing if you focus on 3 or 4 groups. So for instance, if you are looking for construction management in Canada, or if you're looking for estimating in Canada, there are groups specifically dedicated to that background. I mean, you could even be in a construction group, even if you're looking for estimating, but I would focus on 3 or 4 groups. I would follow the guide, and then you would brand yourself inside those groups by helping people, by commenting on people, like on their posts, reading their articles, getting to know people in these communities, because there's actually very active people in these groups. And if you can work with the community, some people might say, hey, you know, Manpreet, I saw that you were looking for a job. You mentioned that you're a project coordinator. Here's like a listing that I found, and they could send you opportunities. I've seen that happen. Also, I've seen a lot of job postings go through different job boards, like not job boards, but through the groups. I don't think that these people are posting them on LinkedIn, because you actually have to pay. It's very expensive to do a job posting on LinkedIn. So what they end up doing is they post as just sort of like a social media post. Hi, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. And they post into these groups. So they're not actually advertise jobs on LinkedIn when you're using the LinkedIn job tool. They're completely separate, and there are opportunities within these groups. You're just going to have to learn how to brand yourself in the groups. And I don't have too much time to do that, but I wanted to give you this tool and give you this website. So I will be sharing that with the group afterwards, because I think this is a really relevant topic on how to properly use a group, how to look for the group that you want, and then how to advocate for yourself in a genuine and professional manner so people take notice of you. So I will be sending you guys home with that. Finally, we talked about emojis once or twice, and I get it. I think it's really weird, but our posts, like, so the LinkedIn posts have generated, it's something like 20 to 30% more interest online after we started emojiing it, just like putting emojis on it. I don't know why. I think it's just more of a visual attraction to get people to notice things. If you're not up to date with emojis, I am not. I use this website, and I basically type in generally what I'm looking for. So like free, that was for the webinars that we were doing, and like all the free buttons pop up, and then you just copy and paste them out of here, and you can use them for your profile building. Don't overdo it with emojis, just a couple of them to visually attract people to your writing and to your summaries does help. And last but not least, I mentioned that we do have a YouTube website. So this is our YouTube website. There's a ton of videos on here. The ones that I want to direct you guys to that's most relevant for what we're doing is this one, Advice for Grads Entering the Workplace. This one actually shows you how to project manage your job. I had about 4 people message me back after we did this specific webinar, and Abby, who was one of the gentlemen, the LinkedIn profiles that I showed you, they did this exercise on properly, I would say, honing in on how to send out resumes and how to basically invest their time on like 10 job searches, so like 10 job or resumes that they put out there versus like sending out 100 resumes and hoping to God someone emails you back or calls you back. This is a more of a tailored approach. So this is one video that you could watch. Also, I have videos like this. So the ones that have me interviewing somebody else, like for instance, this is Sean Donovan from Clark Construction. We talk about what he looks for when he's interviewing and hiring people. So you'll get some hiring manager's insight. John Abel, the same thing. We talk about what he's looking for when he's hiring people in his organization. And Mark Pettipaw, we did the same thing with Mark Pettipaw. And then this is a recruiter to recruiter conversation. So this is specifically with myself and Rob Hager. He's been doing construction recruitment for 12, 13 years now. And he goes over what he's looking for when he's looking for people on LinkedIn. So these are some videos that I wanted to share with you guys because it's relevant to this topic. And I think it might be able to help you further your, or at least understand better what hiring managers and what recruiters are looking for when we're looking at your profiles. So that's it. I know that was so much information. I'm going to email everybody these topics at the end of the day, these links at the end of the day. I want you to be able to have these resources that you can continue your own development. But that's what I have to share with you today. So does anyone have any other questions that they want to share with me?
Hi, can I ask something?
Sure.
When we approach higher officials of a company, what will be the good way to contact them? I mean, through LinkedIn, like texting, what will be the best approach?
Yeah, you're going to message them through LinkedIn. You're going to say, you know, I've researched your company. I've looked through your profile. I'm interested in connecting. You're probably not going to say anything about job searching. As I had mentioned, networking with people on LinkedIn comes at levels, right? So your first level is to just make the connection. Not everyone's going to connect back with you, unfortunately. But if you are genuine in your approach and you are staying away from the fact that you're trying to get something immediately from them, that building process can help you. So what I say to do is, we talked about it a little bit earlier on, is, hi, you know, what's your name? Sorry, Akil. Akil, my name's Akil. I researched your profile. You've done some great work. I checked out the company. I'm very interested in your company. I'm just hoping to connect and learn some more from you. That's it, right? You can say something along those lines and make it your own, like you want to be genuine, but those are the people you're connecting with. And it's just the connection. The second phase of that, after they've connected with you, is literally wait a couple of days, wait a week, and then say, hi, thank you so much for connecting with me. You can say something along the lines of, you know, I've noticed that your organization is growing. Are you the appropriate person that I should be speaking to? Or do you mind if I talk to someone in your organization? Like it's a conversation. And the other thing to note when it comes to hiring managers and human resources is simplicity in your messaging. So don't send them a resume right away. Don't send, you know, like a text, right? You want to be able to just give them short, brief introduction to yourself, start a conversation. You can also do this in the groups as well. That's another thing, in the groups that we were talking about on that website I'll show you, or I showed you. It's an ongoing conversation to start opening up opportunities. It's not immediately going to get you a job, but it's going to start opening up opportunities, or you're going to start to see the opportunities. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
The other thing you said, text them. Just from my experience with hiring managers, do not message them on their phone at all. They do not like that. I don't know why, probably just because they're super busy, but there's like, again, you could probably message them when you get to know them more, but right out of the gate, I would stay away from texting or emailing them directly. I would probably stay away from that right away.
Yeah, you mentioned that, I mean, you can start the conversation with, like, we met last week in a conference or something, but unfortunately, these things are not happening right now due to the pandemic. So it's difficult to start a conversation with someone in the higher chair. Yeah.
I know, it really is, and I feel for you guys. The best bet is those online webinars, online seminars to discuss, meet people like myself. Another great place is those group communities to just start conversation. People put out really interesting articles. They put out really great reads. Start a conversation. If you're scrolling, I'm going to quickly share with you guys just what I'm talking about. This is my LinkedIn. If you go to your homepage, we all know our homepage. I'm very close with Job Talks, so I look at all the stuff Job Talks do. I actively comment on Job Talk articles because I know this individual, and the amount of people that continue commenting and the amount of people who generate a conversation are people that you could then later on just like write their name down. Oh, okay, that's like a hiring manager from, hey, John, I noticed that you commented on the Job Talk Simon Sinek post. I really liked your perspective. Do you mind if we connect? That's online networking right there, right? Who's like, I know this individual, Quieter Construction. So he's probably doing, there you go. So people are starting to comment on his. There's not a lot of comments. Let's go to someone who has a lot of comments just really quickly while I have you guys here. Literally not a people. Okay, so I don't really know this person, but you can go to the comments, right? And then you can find out, not a good one. Okay, this is not a good one. All right, I'm hoping you're understanding where I'm coming from. What is this one? Sorry, questions. This one could be a little, hot watery. So there you go. You're gonna find out who these people are and the ones that you're interested in on your board. Managing partner, surgeon. I don't know. This is not showing. There you go. Maybe join our team. Ah, there you go. Shandos Construction. Vancouver's growing and we're looking for project coordinators. This is just on your main board. So here you have people who, this is a really great, okay. We have a senior civil engineer. He's open to work opportunities. You can connect with him, but you're probably not going to get a job from him, right? Because he's open to work opportunities himself. You have this individual who's actually tagged. See, he's tagged individual that he thinks would be great for this organization. Engineer and training project coordinator. You probably could connect with this person, but he's a project coordinator. He's probably not going to be the person who's able to get you a job, but it could be a shoe in the door somewhere. So you kind of look for these people, and this is how I would do it. Mechanical engineer, I would definitely, like, I don't know exactly what your background is, but you basically have to scroll through and then you start a conversation with these people. So, Vice President Corporate Development, Sid Callies. Sid, hi, I saw that you did a posting on Sanjeev Dillion's wall. You could tag him in that conversation and say, you said Shandos is an amazing place to work. May you direct me to who I can talk to, just have a conversation. That's a really great networking tool, is to check out your board and see like your home screen board right here and see who's having conversations and join in on the conversations. Again, don't push. It's more of, I'm going to get to know you better. I'm going to grow with you. That's really the only way I can think of online networking. Anyone else have any questions?
Hi, Agnes. This is Haki. I have a question.
Hi, Haki.
Hi. Agnes, thanks so much for today's information session or LinkedIn social media teaching or learning from you. I just wondering, you mentioned about strategic networking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wondering if you have some tools or resources that you can share with us for future, or we can take advantage of it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be sending you how to join the groups. Like, so for yourself, you're a structural engineer. You have that background. You have a lot of, I know, like, obviously I know you, I know your background and profile. I would be looking for groups. If you read the article on how to appropriately network with groups, for you specifically, I would be looking at structural engineering groups. I would be looking at concrete groups. I'd be looking at estimating groups, because you do have a really great background in estimating. And I'd be looking at construction management groups. I'd focus on about 4 to 5 of those, like I had mentioned earlier. And I would do exactly what I just showed Akhil. I would go through people who are active, people who are posting, people who are commenting, and that's how you network, is you say, this individual's active, they work for an organization that I think I want to work for. You just start a conversation. Don't come in with the hat of, I want a job right now. You come in with, hey, what's it like to work at your organization? Hey, what type of projects do you guys work on? I'm really interested in your background. I think you do some great work. Can you tell me a little bit more about your organization? Start a conversation. Eventually, over time, that conversation, the help you contribute to the groups, that's another thing. If people are commenting or writing articles and you're also contributing to articles and contributing on LinkedIn and putting articles in, people will start to know you as someone who's helpful in the group. So help people in the group if there's challenges that they see or there's challenges that they're having because you have experience. And that's how you're going to grow your presence on LinkedIn, is definitely those group networks as well as the homepage connections.
How about the resources to reach that network?
Yeah, so the website that I'm going to show you, it was right here. This one right here. This is going to show you how to appropriately connect with the groups that make the most sense for you, and then what to say in those groups and how to connect with people in those groups. So this is one of the sites that I'm going to send over to you. So you'll have the ability to read through it. And that one will be able to kind of get you started at least in just getting involved with the groups. And the other thing you could do, Hacky, too, is go onto LinkedIn Learning, this resource that I gave you, and creating a profile, optimizing your profile, best practices, building your LinkedIn. Like these are all great ways, personal branding. These are all really, really great videos that you could watch, much like this. They're probably not going to be as in-depth, but I'm sure there's online. I don't know if there is online networking. Online networking. There you go. Digital networking strategies, social networking online. So you're going to be able to grab some great courses. And I don't think these videos are more than like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I sometimes try to get advantage of those one. I am premium LinkedIn member.
Okay.
So those one is, I think, all those LinkedIn videos based on United States companies, or I think I just interest in the Canadian companies specifically, or Canadian way of job searching.
It's very similar. It's very similar. I just find you have to build it. So you have to build the relationship. You can't just jump into, I want a job. You have to build the relationship. And that could take a little bit of time, or an opportunity could come to you relatively quickly. But just the one thing with networking, specifically with Canadian culture, is, and you're actually going to, if you watch the YouTube videos that I supplied, I think one or two of the hiring managers actually says that we do not like it when you right out of the gate come to us and say, I want a job. It just Canadians are like, no, we don't. We want to build the relationship. We want to get to know you a little bit more, which I think is really fascinating. And that's actually how I feel as well. And I don't know if it's a Canadian culture thing, but that's definitely something that we do see. And we've had a couple of clients on the interview say right into the camera, like, don't do that to us.
No, definitely we will not be doing that. I will not be doing that, but at least try to reach the local networking. I would prefer reaching local networking and strategic networking to connect us the engineering field. So
you're going to be looking for groups that are Canadian construction groups, and again, follow that website. It'll take you to how to appropriately search for the right group. And then you're also going to be looking for Canadian contacts to add. So when you're adding to your network, you're adding Canadian contacts to your network.
I see. Okay, thanks so much.
Perfect. No worries. Does anyone else have any other questions they want to put forward?
Hi. Hi, Agnes.
Hi.
Hi, first of all, thank you for the wonderful presentation. It was very insightful. So my question to you is it okay to contact an HR through LinkedIn once I have applied for a position in their company? I
Yes.
mean, okay,
Yes.
after a couple of
Connect with
days.
them first. Yeah, after a
Okay,
couple of days, give them time to sort through it. You, again, it just depends on the people because we're dealing with people and people have different expectations or I would say different experiences that they want to have in the job process. So let's say you applied online through a portal, like a lot of the larger organizations have portals, you emailed your resume, you emailed everything through, you built your online profile. If you know who the hiring managers are, or if you can somehow search out the hiring managers and the human resource managers online, then I think it's great connecting with them saying, hi, I am very interested in your company. I have applied. I haven't heard back. Do we know what the process is? Or asking like, can I get to know the process a little bit better? Should I be waiting another week or so? Again, just kind of giving them a little nudge like, hi, I'm very interested. And I did do there was a webinar. If you go through our YouTube channel, it was the first one that says how graduates can project manage their careers. It'll show you how to appropriately take the steps to apply for like 10, maybe 15 positions only, and then how to appropriately reply back to these people, how to get their attention. So that's a really good module to watch as well.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Someone wrote in the chat box, hi Agnes, thank you for the informative presentation. You're welcome. I know you mentioned that our resume should match our LinkedIn profile, but to what extent? I'm on the edge about bullet points versus sentences to describe my past job experiences on LinkedIn. Should I expand my points on the resume onto LinkedIn, or is it more copy and paste? Niv, can you explain this to me? Sorry, I'm getting a little lost here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How's it going?
Fine, thank you.
That's good, awesome. So I just wanted to cover the LinkedIn versus the resume. So I know you mentioned your resume should directly be affected, I guess, reflected onto the LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I did hear a few things before where there should be a little different. How do you feel about that? Like in terms of my LinkedIn, for example, my headline or about section is pretty long, whereas my resume, I try to keep things to a page, and my LinkedIn, I try to reflect on my experiences in the companies and positions I've worked in, and I kind of expand on it. So I was just wondering if I should tweak that a bit or...
Yeah, so your LinkedIn, as I mentioned, can be more all-encompassing with photos, with the links to different websites, links to maybe different like construction drawings that you've worked on, redacted, of course, if you're ever putting on information like a drawing set or a portfolio, redact client information, that's probably important. But you have so much more playroom with your LinkedIn resume, so I would build it up. Of course, I wouldn't put in like full paragraphs. Again, point form is what a hiring manager is going to look through. The best way to describe a resume building or LinkedIn building, if I'm a hiring manager, I put out a posting for a project coordinator, I am guaranteed 100 resumes. I'm probably working with 300. The amount of time that I have to look through everybody's resume, it could be seconds. It could be, I don't like the look of it, it's gone. This person is too detailed, I can't even read this, it's gone. I do a module, when did I do the module? I did a module on resume building. It could be on YouTube. It could be on one of our YouTube websites. But I did do a whole webinar on specifically how to build your resume so it stands out in that like stack of resumes that all these hiring managers have to go through. I know the rule of like keeping your resume down to 1 page or 2 pages. Yes and no. You do obviously don't want to send them a dissertation, but you also want to encapsulate everything that you've done. You don't really have space to include photos and links and images, which is why I want you to put your LinkedIn link on the actual profile or your resume, sorry, so that if someone is looking at it from a desktop position, like they're on their laptop or they're electronically looking at your resume, they can click on it and immediately take them to the bigger profile that you have with all the bells and whistles on it. But I wouldn't, unless you don't have enough experience to build up your resume, I wouldn't keep it to one page. I don't think you're probably getting enough information in just one page. I think that's a bit of an old wives' tale. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a wives' tale. Yeah.
Makes sense. No, that was very informative. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm definitely gonna make it 2 pages because I was always told 1. Like I kept it at 2, and then recently they've been telling me 1. I'm just in a position where I'm working right now. I'm a project coordinator, but I'm just ready to go on to the next step. I know it's a pandemic and all, but I'm trying to take that step forward and apply for jobs here. So in terms of the resume, I just have them as bullet points, and those bullet points are sentences on LinkedIn, if you know what I mean. I just kind of expanded on them. So that's what I did to shorten the resume. But I'm not 100% sure if that's the case, because maybe someone's just going to look at the resume, not the LinkedIn. I do have the LinkedIn link on top of the resume though.
Yeah. Yeah, I would expand it out. I would for sure expand it out. Bullet point your experiences. You know what I'm going to do then, because a couple of people have just asked about resumes. I'm going to redo our resume building and skills upgrading course. I just realized we did not record them, so they're actually not on YouTube. So if you're interested, let me know, but I'll do a webinar maybe next month on resume building and skills upgrading. That one went over really, really well. And that's actually a contributing factor, I think, to some of the students who came into these seminars who got jobs on their own. So we can do that if you want. I don't really have time today to do it, but we can actually go point form through like active resumes, like people who are very experienced and people who are like even graduate, and I'll take you through everything. What I like about them, what I don't like about them, what hiring managers like, what they don't like. It's a very thorough webinar on resume building.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Agnes. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? How far do recruiters look into individuals' experiences? That's a great question. And recruiters are a different animal. I've got my own opinions on recruiters, and we don't have the best reputation in the space. If you have, and I think I do a video on this as well, and I wrote an article. So if you actually go onto my LinkedIn profile under articles, I wrote an entire article on how to appropriately work with a recruiter. If you find that a recruiter took your information, they're like all of a sudden you're getting job interview calls, or you don't even know who's calling you, it's a different recruiter with your information, I would probably pull my resume. If you are working consistently with one recruiter, they call you, they're asking your permission to take your resume to a new client. If they're actively working with you on formatting your resume, like that's, and if the recruiter has been working in your space of career path for a significant amount of time, that's the person you want to work with. And they're out there, there's a bunch of them out there. But I would probably stay away from people who bounce around, like recruiters who bounce around, who don't have full LinkedIn profiles, who do not have maybe recommendations from other candidates and employers. This person is going to take some of the most confidential information you have. If you are, if you're looking for a job and all of a sudden like 20 recruiters have your information and they're all going to the same types of employers, it doesn't look good on you and you're probably not going to get the job. So I think you have to be selective, work with 1-2 recruiters max. Don't overdo it with recruiters. It's not a volume thing. It is not at all a volume thing. It is a quality control. So I don't know if that helps you as well, but if they're not interviewing you about your experiences, you know, Sam, I know your experiences, so I'm hoping I'm doing a good job, but if they're not actively asking you about your experiences, they're just taking your resume, I probably wouldn't work with them. I would want a thorough interview done and conducted so they know exactly who I am and exactly what I'm looking for as a candidate working with a recruiter. I hope that helps. Guys, it's 2 o'clock. You have some great questions. If you all have my email address, if possible, if you have any other questions, maybe email me back. I have to get running to a couple of different calls right now, so I'm going to jump on those calls, but please let me know if you need anything else from me. Okay, guys? Okay, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
You're welcome.